Hi, I'm James Shillinglaw, and I'm here with Ray Snisky, who is president of Apple Leisure Group Vacations. And Ray was named president earlier this year. Many of you know him from the FunJet days, but we're going to talk to him about what he's going to be doing with Apple Leisure Group Vacations and what's going to go on with the brand and all the brands they represent. And you'll find out about all that and more on Insider Travel Report. First of all, Ray, how are you and where are you?
I'm doing well. I actually am back at home in Milwaukee, Wisconsin, and just fresh off my first trip. I spent a week at our biannual executive committee meeting in Cancun, so I was a little out of practice. It took me longer to pack, and I was at the airport earlier than normal, but it was great to be back on the road.
Yeah, no, it is strange when you got to reacquire some of those skills that we're also used to, and you haven't been doing them for a long time. I know I had the same issue when I started traveling again a little bit. Now you were named president of Apple Leisure Group back in July, which isn't that long ago. What led up to your appointment, and kind of what mission have you been given with ALGV?
Thank you. Actually, when Alejandro Reynal came in and was the new CEO in September, there were a few changes, and Lynn Torrance had left the company. And then we actually operated as a team with 3 different leaders of the different parts of vacations. And I think Alejandro wanted to take some time to evaluate the business and get to know the team and so on and so forth. And then I think ultimately he wanted one central point of accountability. And so that's been myself. And jumping in the middle of COVID is always a fun time to take a new job.
Oh, it's always the best time, right? Right in the middle.
It was fantastic. But for me, it's really very simple. It's really about clarity and having great clarity for the team on what our goals and objectives are, what their roles are. And then I think also creating a culture of accountability and making sure that everyone knows exactly what they need to do and what's expected of them. And then we all work together to deliver.
Now, if you were to describe ALGV in a sentence or two, what would you say?
I think I'd have to stick with our core values, and those are our mission, vision, and values. And our mission is to turn vacation dreams into lifelong memories. And that's really what we set out to do with each and every objective that we have within our business units. And our vision is a little more aspirational. It's to be the first choice in vacation travel, enriching the world and uniting the world. And so I think from that standpoint, that's what we wake up trying to do as well, trying to invest in the countries in which we do business and the origin markets in which we do business. And then it really cascades into our core values and things like we care, we're authentic, we inspire action, we do it together, we do it with passion. Those are the kinds of things that we ground the team on, and that's the focus that we have.
Now, of course, you have a number of brands: Apple Vacations, Travel Impressions, FunJet. I got to read the whole list. But long term, will it be necessary to have so many separate brands really selling similar products in similar ways, or are you going to keep that structure?
You know what? I think you can never predict the future 100%, but really from our perspective, we like the diversity of the brands. We like how they have different relationships with consortia groups and host groups and agency groups. They have some differentiation in product delivery and service and so forth. And so I think from our standpoint, we like the diversity and we'd like to continue that. Certainly we need to be efficient. So back of the house, we want to find ways to streamline and be very, very efficient. We don't want to act as 6 individual companies holistically. Maybe forward facing to the market, being very unique, but back of the house, we've got to find some efficiency. So we'll continue to be driven to find efficiencies in the back of the house moving forward.
Yeah, well, actually, that's one of the questions I'd have to ask you about. Apple Leisure Group has really been working to merge its many divisions and coordinate them for a couple of years now. And some travel advisors say you still have a little more work to do. Why has it taken so long to integrate Travel Impressions, Apple Vacations, FunJet, all the brands that you have? And I'm sure you're aware of some advisors are going to complain about this and that. And I mean, you've done some great things, no question about it. But why has it been taken so long to integrate?
I think it's a couple things. One is there's been so much that's happened since May of 18 when the companies merged. There's been a lot of external factors: the Dominican Republic crisis, the safety and security issues in Mexico, the tainted alcohol. So I think it's all seemed a little bit of a blur, that all the challenges kind of rolled together. I think putting all the brands on one platform, I think we had unexpected, challenges with that, getting people to change their adoption. 25% of the people that were booking with ALG brands prior to the merger had never booked in VAX. And so I think we underestimated what it would take to transition that there. But quite frankly, this first quarter of this year, prior to COVID hitting, we were clicking. Our service levels were strong. Our business was very, very strong. I think we put the merger primarily behind us. And then we ran into COVID, and that created a whole new slew of challenges, which I think has kind of blurred in some advisors' minds that it's all merger related. But I really feel confident that a lot of the merger related issues are behind us, and that some of the recent ones were more COVID driven.
Yeah, so now you can look forward, and of course, some of the good things were Vax Vacations. That you integrate that with the entire, and I would gather you consider that to be one of the major successes in integrating Apple and Mark Travel and Travel Impressions, right?
No question. I mean, having that singular platform that's very, very efficient, it has a lot of self-help tools for advisors to be able to be very successful. That platform we've invested in for many, many years, and that certainly was the glue that kind of pulled the brands together. And I think that has certainly been a huge win. I think another great win for us is keeping the quality of the talent of the different brands. I mean, we've been able to have, I think, the best sales team in the industry working with advisors. And we kind of took the best of each of the brands. There were certainly unique strategies that each of the brands had that we did, use a little bit of a best practices technique to share with some of the other brands as well. So I think there's been a lot of great things that have happened for sure.
Now, what do you think remains to be done for the complete integration? You said things are clicking now. Are there any other challenges or things you're going to work on going forward?
Yeah, I think that one of the things that COVID taught us, negatively, was we hadn't invested enough in the back of the house. We hadn't put more automation. I think, especially when you look at both companies prior to the merger, Mark Travel and ALG were growing, big companies, and most of our investments were made towards achieving more revenue, whether it be user experience on the platform, whether it be product generation, whether it be connectivity with airlines and so forth. And it wasn't the sexy thing to do is let's start working on a lot of back of the house automation and accounting process and so forth. And while COVID was something that was unprecedented, that really exposed some of our weaknesses behind the house. So, for me, our technology roadmap changed during the COVID process, where we really want to invest on efficiencies. And at the end of the day, as everyone knows, the tour operator business is a very slim margin business. Mm-hmm. And so it's important that we're as efficient as possible, moving forward. And that's where a lot of our focus will be is, we learned a lot. When you look at what happened in COVID, and there's never any excuses. One of the things I'm probably most dismayed about is some of the challenges we had with service levels and the speed of refunds and our contact center. And it wasn't despite people working super, super hard. But, I had a colleague I saw give an interview and said that they had to process 25,000 reservations. And we're over 400,000 that have to be processed. And so when you look at that, and I think the worst of that's behind us, and we're getting to a steady state right now in those service levels and so forth. But it was really, daunting, and to go and move the refund department from 10 people to 80 or 90 people, that ramping those people up in the middle of that intensity was a challenge for us. And I don't think we had our best foot forward during that time period. So for me, I think looking forward is we're all about value creation. So it's ensuring for the travel advisor that we're adding value. We're making them look great to their clients. We're giving them tools to help them be more effective and be more efficient. And I don't think we were hitting on all cylinders clearly during the COVID time period.
Now, obviously, in the last year or so, we've seen a lot of movement in the executive ranks at ALGV, and culminating in you being named president in July. What's the executive structure now of your many different brands going forward under the ALGV umbrella? Sure.
Great question. I think, once again, there's a little blurring of changes, right? We had one significant change. Alex Asaya moved from being CEO up to being executive chairman. That had been on the planning cycle for about a year and a half, so there was nothing surprising about that. It wasn't driven by any other unique move. It was something that was all part of his contract and moving. So I think anytime you have a new CEO come in, there's inevitably going to be some change, and he's going to bring in some of the folks that he is most comfortable with, and he's going to maybe shuffle the deck a little bit and so forth. And that's what happened. So I really don't think we've had that much change. We had a couple of executives leave in the September time period last year, and now we've formulated our team. And, so to me, as I look at vacations, one of the things I'm most thrilled about is, I've got the best person in the business, Jackie Marks, running our trade brands, and she does a fantastic job. And I've worked with her for over 20 years, going back to the Mark Travel days. So she leads that. We brought in a new gentleman, Anderson Hernandez that is actually running all of the call centers for us and really coming up with a lot of forward-thinking ways for us to use new technologies and robotics and other ways to be more efficient. So really excited about that. We have Farron Kitzinger, who runs our revenue management, and he's been promoted from within. So that's very, very exciting. And then we also have Jean Downing, who's been in our product development team, our supplier engagement team for 30 years. And so she's leading that team and has outstanding relationships with the various different suppliers that we work with. So it's a fantastic team. It's the most talented team I've ever worked with in my career. The work ethic is just extraordinary, and I think you'll continue to see that output in ALGV as it advances.
Okay. And my friend Scott Wiseman is still there, right?
Absolutely. Scott is working very closely. Both Scott Weissman and Jim Tedesco are
right.
Working really closely with Jackie on the trade side. Mike Ehlers is running the group side. And so we do have, I think when we rolled it up, we had like 400 years of experience between the leadership team and the people that we had in sales. So really excited about that and really excited about our team, because the team is really what makes everything go.
Now, obviously, ALGV has been dealing with the coronavirus crisis both internally and externally with travel advisors. What are some of the things you've had to do?
Well, I think that obviously when this thing came upon us, it kind of ramped up a little slowly. It was maybe 2 or 3 weeks of kind of a little softness, and then all of a sudden it all kind of exploded. And so, I think the things I'm most proud of is that we were very decisive. We moved very, very quickly. We looked at our OpEx, both payroll and non-payroll, and made the necessary changes that we needed to make to protect the company. We changed some of our commercial policies that we thought were very much at risk and moved very swiftly. We introduced some new travel protection programs. So in addition for the cancel for any reason cash back option, we gave a future travel credit option. And so moved very quickly. And then when the time was right, we were very, very aggressive in ramping up specials and promotions and things along those lines to draw the business back. And then a number of other things that we did to protect the business was, first and foremost, we created a future travel credit of 125%. So any customer could take, if they had a $2,000 booking with us, they had a $2,500 future travel credit. So we were able to capture about 40% of the customers that were prepared to cancel. They had already initially asked to cancel, and we were able to keep about 40% of a significant number on board. So I think that really helped us and the advisors and certainly the suppliers, and the suppliers collaborated with us on that offer. And so I think that was something very quick that we wanted to do to really, avoid the monstrous amount of cancellations, because my concern was twofold. One is getting the people off the books. You never are certain that they'll come back. And then I did feel, and I continue to feel, that there will be an increasingly more difficult economic situation out there. So while you can provide some value right now, I think that gave customers some attractive reasons to stay on board.
No, it sounds like you've been handling it well. And now, are you starting to see, have you introduced any new products and services from ALGV this year, particularly to help advisors during all this?
Yeah, for sure. I think some of the things I just mentioned, but then in addition to that, we took the bold move of putting some of our charters back into the marketplace in August, and there was a lot of uncertainty and concern about that. Clearly a lot of the Sched airlines have had dramatic cuts in their capacity into the markets, but we launched charter products in St. Louis and Chicago down to Cancun, and we rolled out our 2021 charter product, and we're going to still be very, very aggressive and bold in putting those planes back in the marketplace, so we're excited about that. We actually put some new technology in place in the midst of COVID that gave advisors the ability to transfer money from one reservation to a new reservation automatically without having to contact us. They also had another opportunity for them to have lookup screens that would show them money on records and things along those lines that we were able to provide for them. So to think about deploying a technology solution like that in the middle of COVID in less than 3 months, those are things that we were able to leverage having our own technology company. And so we were able to make some changes there. And then we came up, as we started to ramp up, with a great program, a luxury steal the deal, where we were seeing a lot of customers wanted to stay at higher end hotels. They wanted to go to hotels that they felt were very confident in delivering the protocols that were outlined and so forth. And so we put together some great values, and not only great pricing, you were able to get 5-star pricing, a 5-star hotel experience for 4-star pricing. But we were able to add a bunch of other amenities to it as well, other types of experiences and value adds. And as much as, in many cases when demand drops, the first thing people try to move towards is price. And this was not a price-driven experience. People wanted to feel safe. People wanted to know that they were going to be protected. And, I didn't see a lot of people, trying to drive for the lowest price. They wanted good value to, have that help them in their decision making, but they really wanted to feel safe and secure and in a place where they know that they'd be healthy.
Now, are you starting to see sales come back for later this year and into 2021? I mean, you were just down in Mexico. What sort of products are selling best? What destinations are selling best these days?
Yeah, great question. One of the things is that, our historical forecasting and analytics pretty much get thrown out the window during times like this. So we couldn't really look at previous trends. And we really saw kind of a tale of two cities up until the last few weeks. And that was either really close in. So we were having scenarios where we'd have a week of bookings where 55% of the bookings were for the month they were in the next month. That's how close in they were, which is very unusual for international, travel. And I think people were just looking and saying, I don't see any problem there. So I think I feel safe shooting down to this place right now. And then the other extreme was, let me go ahead and book at a time that I think this will all be over. And at the beginning of all this, that was second quarter of 2021. Then it moved into summer. And so, but I've been really relieved that the booking window, even within 2020, is starting to extend. And we're seeing large pockets of bookings, in July and August that were for October and November. And so we're seeing more confidence. And I think, the U.S. customer is very resilient. And so they look for, how things are being adjusted to and are the protocols safe and so forth. And that's one thing I would have to take my hat off to is the suppliers and the hotel groups that, in an extremely difficult financial situation, they were investing heavily in protocols and safety and security and not thinking about the short term, but really thinking about the long term. At suppressed occupancy levels, many hotels had the cap at 30%. And so it was just really rewarding to be part of an industry that the customer was first, their safety was first, the investments were made for the customer to be safe. And I think that's why you're starting to see things ramp up. And we are seeing things ramp up. And we've had a few great weeks of travel in the last month. I mean, so for us, we were probably similar to many people. We started to see some really good uptick in June. Then all of a sudden, when there was the 45 states had rising cases in the United States, we had softness in July, and then it's ramped back up since then. And I think it's really, there's two destinations that are gaining the majority of the market share. Domestically, it's Las Vegas, which probably comes to no surprise. But internationally, it's been Cancun. And that has been for a number of reasons. One is the variety of hotel selection was very, very strong. They opened hotels early. Dominican Republic, who we're working really close with to build back up the volume there, 71% of their hotels didn't open until September. Right. And so a large amount of hotel inventory coupled with a lot of flexibility in options on flights. And I think there was about a 53% reduction in seats to Cancun. And we found that there were lots of options for people to get down there, fairly reasonably. So that combination, Cancun has really stepped up as the number one international booking destination for us.
No, that's great. And, having been down there recently, in fact, I was sheltering down in Mexico when it first started. So I'm pretty familiar and then all the hotels closed, unfortunately. And now most of the hotels are reopened in Mexico. As you said, in the DR, it looks like they're coming back this month too. So that's all good news. And, granted, there are still some CDC and State Department warnings, advisories that are not too friendly to both destinations, but it doesn't seem like it's bothering a lot of Americans trying to travel there.
Yeah, I certainly, you can see the pent-up demand, so many examples of it, even going back to when they opened up the beaches in Florida and California, and maybe that response wasn't the right one, but they were packed, instantaneously. And I think you're seeing the same thing. We have a group of reservations that canceled in March, rebooked in May, rebooked again in June, booked again in August. I mean, they really wanted to go. And I think that the hotels have also adapted in their products and their protocols and things where people feel safe. And there's all kinds of new programs out there where people can work and learn from the destination. If you're going to be on a video anyway, why not work a little bit during the day and then go out and enjoy the beautiful environments down there? So they've really been adapted and moved. And for me, like I said, I traveled there last week, and it was a little getting used to. I connected from Milwaukee through Chicago, so wearing a mask for 7 hours was nothing that I'd ever done before, and so getting a little bit used to that. But then once I got down there, the comfort level grew quickly, I took a test when I arrived and I took a test when I left just to make sure as I was coming back to my family. But I think it was really fantastic, the efforts. And I think there's such an enhanced level of service now because, it's almost like absence makes the heart grow fonder. These employees haven't had a chance to take care of customers. And now that there are some, it's you can just see the passion that they have on making sure the customers have a great stay.
No, that's great news. And when you do it yourself, what it really is like. And it really is, in Mexico, they have great facilities and they're really addressing this crisis to a very big extent. Now, you have your Ascend 2020 virtual conference coming up actually later this month. What should travel advisors expect from this event?
I can tell you that is something I'm so proud of Jackie and the team. And, it would have been easy to say, no, we probably shouldn't do it, but they wanted to take on the workload and wanted to do something. So what I've seen so far, we're the only company that's moved forward with their learning conferences. And yes, it is virtual, and that's different. But I guess we've had 5 or 6 months of practice of doing things virtually, and I think we're all getting a little more comfortable on, you can't always do everything face-to-face during these times. And it will have many of the same things that it's had in the past, right? It's going to have keynote speakers, and we've got some outside talent that we brought in to keep it very interesting. You'll hear from all of our key executives, as well as Alejandro Renal, our CEO, will join to speak to the group. We'll have our breakout sessions and learning activities that actually are more cultivated from today's world, right? And so it's not a normal thing of, here's how to create a great marketing piece. It's really, how to create a great marketing piece in COVID, or seeing some of the impact of things that we need to do differently. And our goal is to build confidence with the advisors and let them get tools from us and have them be more successful coming out of this. And there really isn't a group of people that have worked harder for less compensation than the travel advisor group during this environment. And myself, I've written letters to our senators and representatives in all the states in which we have offices. I think more needs to be done for our advisors to get support. They have worked around the clock trying to help their customers feel more comfortable, refunding things, rebooking things, and around the clock. So that's a group we really want to try and help support and really help them be more successful going into 2021.
Well, it looks like it's going to be a great event, and I'll be trying to listen in, possibly from Mexico. We'll see, because I may go down there to try one of these workations. Now, what do you hope or expect to see from ALGV, let's say a year from now?
Yeah, that's a great question. For me, it starts with our team. Does our team have clarity? Mm-hmm. Are they confident in their roles and what they need to do to contribute for us to be successful? Are they having fun? This hasn't been a lot of fun the last few months. And so are they having fun? And I think if we can get that team living under a culture of accountability, having great clarity, really be driven towards common goals. We spent a lot of time not only on what we're going to do, but what we're not going to do, and making sure that we weren't being unrealistic, for our team members. But I think if we have that and we have any kind of normalization in the business, I think we'll be in a really good shape.
No, that's great news, and we look forward to that a year from now or even sooner. First of all, congratulations on being named president of the combined ALGV. It really is the largest wholesale and organization around at this point, and in the U.S. certainly. And it really is sort of the glue that keeps us all together for these kind of packaged vacations that everybody really wants to have, especially these days, and you can provide them from soup to nuts. So I think it's going to be great. I look forward to what you're going to do with ALGV in the future. And again, good luck with it. And we hope to talk to you again very soon.
Well, I appreciate that, James. And working with the team to get through COVID will clearly be the highlight of my career. And I'm really looking forward to what 2021 brings all of us.
I'm James Shillinglaw, and this is Insider Travel Report.